Hi, welcome back to Zach of All Trades. I'm Zach, and today I'm going to show you my take on how to get too much stuff into one trailer, stuffing the proverbial 10 pounds of stuff into a 5-pound bag. The first step, and this is absolutely critical, is you must have too much stuff. There are many ways that you can accomplish this. My favorite, and the one that I recommend, is that as soon as you leave home, you start collecting things for some eventuality, whether it's when you get your own place or when you move back home again, something like that. That's worked really well for me. We've got the majority of our stuff unloaded and unpacked, but today there was some items that the missus really needed to find, and so sent me back out here to the trail. She didn't send me, she asked me kindly to come back out here to the trailer and dig around a little bit to find out if I could find the computer printer and some of our homeschooling curriculum. So here I am, and I figured that this was a pretty good opportunity to show you that some of the things that I did that were good and some of the things that I did that were maybe otherwise. When I built this little trailer, my goal was to make it as multi-purpose and as useful as possible. So I made it just as big as I could stand it while still being somewhat comfortable with it. It's only 6.5 feet wide, so going tall was a little bit sketchy. I went 7 feet tall anyway, from the deck to the top of it, which doesn't necessarily allow me to put a bunch of big heavy stuff up high, but it does allow for bulky stuff to cover or to go up to the top of it. I did my very best to keep all the heavy stuff down low and only put the light stuff up here on the top, with one pretty big exception. Let me show you what I did. When I took apart the kids' playhouse, one of the things that I had a hard time figuring out where it goes was the slide. And then it occurred to me. I put the slide up here on the top as kind of the only heavy thing up high. That did a couple things for me. It made it, in my opinion, much more aerodynamic than it was before, which I'm sure contributed to my super high 11 miles to the gallon fuel mileage. But the other thing that it did is it gave it a little bit of a pitch to the roof, so that as it sits here and the snow melts and it rains occasionally, man, all that stuff runs off rather than puddling right in the middle of my tarp. Admittedly though, it did contribute to the somewhat top heaviness of this trailer that was a constant worry on the whole trip. At this point, I feel like I should probably take a moment and point out, I'm not advocating for you doing anything unsafe or that's beyond your capabilities or comfort level. I did some things that made me a little bit uneasy for most of the trip, and I have learned some things from that. I'm simply going to point out some of the things that I did so that when you find yourself trying to stuff 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag, maybe this will give you some ideas, maybe it'll spark some creativity for you. Another thing that I did, and this one I was quite proud of, was I turned my single-story trailer into a 2-story trailer using the bed rails of the boys' bunk beds and a couple of panels, extra panels that came with our chicken house. The thing that I accomplished by making it 2-story was being able to concentrate on putting the heavy things, i.e. motorcycle, old gas stove, some other crazy stuff, bandsaw, there's a bandsaw way back in there, but I was able to put all the heavy stuff on the bottom without regard to how or if I could stack the lighter, bulkier, stackable stuff on the top. So I made it just as high as I needed to in order to get it over the top of the heavy stuff, and then I put the next floor in, so to speak. And then I put the light stuff, the stuff that was just bulky and in boxes, things like hats and, boxes of paperwork. These are just files that are not particularly heavy. So I was able to cram a lot more stuff on this second level that would have probably not stacked very well. Something else that I did that was just sort of out of necessity that actually wound up working really well was I took all this pegboard out of my garage and I just stuck it on the side of my trailer as sort of an extension of the, we'll call it 3/4 wall or half wall. What that did was that allowed me to put stuff up there the non-heavy stuff and be able to count on it not overpowering the tarp, which previously had been the only thing holding stuff in on the side. That made it really nice to be able to just throw things in the top before putting the tarp on, such as basketballs and hats and bicycle helmets and things of that nature, and know that it was going to stay in there. That certainly wasn't a comprehensive overview, but I hope that it at least gives you some ideas for whenever you need to pack a trailer and you don't quite have enough room, or you just have too much stuff to stuff into your trailer. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care.